Hey, welcome to the Know. I'm Ashley.
I'm Brian.
Hey guys, good news. Looks like we don't need Portal 3 anymore. Because, well, Valve's not working on it as far as we know.
Oh, hell no.
Although, love to be wrong about that.
Yeah.
However, since they haven't put out Portal 3, and our only Portal experience has been Portal bridge construction.
Yeah. Have you played that?
No.
Me either.
No. Although the trailer for it looked cool, it just doesn't look like the Portal experience people were looking for.
Felt like a little bit of a tease.
Yeah.
Yeah.
However, some enterprising fans have put together and are working on a new mod that it more or less adds a completely new game on to Portal 2. And this is pretty awesome.
Yeah, it looks like Portal 2.5, if this were Kingdom Hearts 2.8, something like that. It's like really extensive for a fan mod.
It's a lot. It's 20 new maps, more than 30 puzzles. So that's a full game for a lot of games.
And for free.
Right, and so this mod is called Destroyed Aperture. It's coming out this fall. There's a ModDB page for it that has a bunch of screenshots showing it. It's a pretty cool concept.
Yeah, it's, I think it's set in like a destroyed Aperture lab. So you follow around a character. He kind of, I think it takes place 5 years after sort of all the shit went down from Portal 2, but it's destroyed, it's overgrown, and you're kind of trying to, you know, find out what the hell happened.
Yeah, so here's the description from ModDB. It says, you take on the role of a man named David that gets woken up in an overgrown and decayed Aperture Science Facility 7. Facility 7's central core has failed and destroyed any and every communication system along with the environment and killed almost everyone. The facility has been in a decayed state for years, locking everyone in, but not all hope is lost. There is still a chance of escaping. So, sounds pretty awesome. It sounds like what you would expect of a sequel.
Right. Although no British voice little helper this time, that was the best.
Well, we'll see what they add in. Hopefully they've got their own twist that they add into it.
Portal 2 was probably my favorite game of all time.
It's Valve's mindset for some of their franchises is so confusing to me.
Yeah.
Like, I understand why you might be hesitant to make Half-Life 3 because there is a lot of expectation about what it is. If it doesn't live up to expectations, the internet mob would just ransack everything.
Especially now, especially after all these years.
Yeah. So I can see why with a game like Half-Life 3, sure, a little bit of hesitance. But Portal's, one, not that old.
Right.
And two, not like it's a worn out concept.
Yeah, I can't imagine any other publisher walking away from a successful franchise like this. You know what I mean? Like, anyone else would have at least done 2 more Portals, but Valve is just like, nope, we're done.
It'd be an annual franchise.
Yeah, oh my God. You'd have DLC, you'd have puzzles out the fucking ass every 6 months.
How upset must publishers like EA and Ubisoft be that Valve is just sitting on some of the most loved franchises, with Portal being among them?
Just to walk away from it just goes to show like how big and rich Valve must be that they can just leave money on the table. I mean, hundreds of millions of dollars on the table, I feel like.
Yeah, well, one of the things about Valve too is that they are a privately held company. They, unlike the EAs and the Ubisofts and even the CD Projekts of the world, they don't have stockholders to answer to. So they get to do whatever they like, more or less.
Yeah, if Gabe doesn't want to do it, I guess, then they don't do it. Kind of like how Lucasfilm used to be before it got bought by Disney. I mean, it was up to George Lucas what he wanted to do.
Exactly. Yeah. So, even though I'm really confused by Valve's approach to this, because one, they could print more money, not that they need more money. I think they're all just fine as is. They published a stat at some point that was like, oh, we make, you know, $7 million per employee or something like that. It's a lot. They make a ton of money per employee that they have. They're not hurting. No. And again, they don't have shareholders that all of that money is going to, so it's staying there with the company. They can live for a million years.
Right. They don't have shareholders pushing them to get into more fields. They don't have activist investors who might like try to take over the board. So it just seems like, if they want to get hard into VR, which it sounds like is what they're interested in, they can do that. They can focus more on Steam. it is interesting to see fans step in, which we'll talk about that they've done historically, but it looks like they're going in a kind of a new direction with a lot more like story-focused games.
Yeah, and
you know what I mean? Like instead of like multiplayer, you know, Counter-Strike and stuff like that.
And experimental tech.
Yeah.
So they tried a couple things. They tried the Steam box, which hasn't done amazing, but they at least still distribute their own Steam OS, so anyone can basically make their own Steam box. They have the Steam controller, which admittedly didn't do amazing, but they've got cool stuff like Steam Link, so you can hook it up to a TV and then play your PC games via the TV if you want to. So then also their partnership with HTC, with the Vive, going heavy into VR. And they have said they're working on new games. And that they are going heavy into VR. So maybe they'll revisit some of their franchises, you know, themselves without fans being the ones to do it with some of these future VR projects.
It feels like they always want to branch out away from PC, you know, and do like try to get onto regular TVs or get into VR or get into all this other stuff. But it always feels like as fans, we always keep kind of pulling them back or wanting to still go back to those classic franchises.
Well, and it's not only that, but it's also maybe they're trying to chase the Steam dream where they really predicted digital distribution and they got a corner on the market because they got into it so early. Remember when Steam came out? Everyone hated it.
It was despised.
It was the worst thing that could have happened to PC games, and now it's ubiquitous.
Yeah, even the most, I feel like, anti-corporate gamers still, even, you know, hardcore PC players, everyone always points to Steam as one of the best parts about PC gaming because of the sales. Because everything's in one place. Yeah, I remember a friend of mine said one time they made buying games fun. Like just the act of buying a game, they kind of made that fun.
And then they've got all the other stuff in there, like the trading cards and the marketplaces. They have their own distribution center for mods with the workshop.
And like you said, they were first. This was before any of the consoles had their own storefronts up. I mean, this was, so maybe, they're trying to chase sort of that next big thing and just, I don't know, that rush of being next.
Well, and being the market leader. Being the one to drive in a new direction that ends up becoming the big thing. Clearly, they were trying to do that with VR. And Vive has done well, but VR in general hasn't done as well as analysts certainly predicted that it was going to, and so based on the insane numbers that analysts were putting up, anything looks like a disappointment. Although it is growing. They said that that VR is growing like 160% year over year, which is great.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like it's crossed that inflection point though, you know, of like sort of that mass, I don't know, like everyone play, or you know, I haven't gone over to a friend's place yet, and everyone's like doing VR shit.
No, not yet. We're not to that
yet.
point.
I would love it, but we haven't gotten there.
Right, but bringing it back to Portal, it can see why they're letting some of their big stuff languish because they're busy chasing that hot new thing.
Right.
But fans are taking over the project. So this one looks really cool. I'm pretty excited about this, but it's also not the only fan project where people who miss these franchises have decided to just take it in their own hands and make these cool projects out of it.
Right. Valve never wants to act like a traditional gaming company at all, whereas, you know, like we said, any other gaming publisher would have finished Half-Life. They'd be on Half-Life 20 by now. They would have had 1 million portals. So it's interesting. It's almost like fans have crowdsourced the development of these games. You know what I mean?
And you've got some big ones, too. There's Project Borealis, which is probably the biggest one that I hear about at the moment, at least, which is it's a fan project. The idea being to make Half-Life 2 Episode 3, but based on former Valve writer Mark Laidlaw's synopsis, that one that after he left Valve and he cheekily put out this Episode 3 that was gender swap, names a little bit changed, but made it very, very clear exactly what everything was and how that story would have finished.
Yeah, and it was kind of poignant at the end. He kind of made it clear like he'd left the company, things were moved on, but he felt like the fans deserved an ending to Half-Life.
Bit of closure.
Yeah, but then this group of fans picked up that torch, and they're serious about it. They say they've got a team of, I think, more than 70 people. They've got a website. They've been releasing assets. I mean, it looks legit, and it's a story. I mean, it looks like they're gonna get like, you know, voice acting. They're going through script revisions. It seems like, you know, 10, 15 years ago they would do mods. You know, Gary's mod, Counter-Strike, things like that, all based around multiplayer. But this is like making a pretty in-depth single-player RPG to like wrap this series up, and that seems like something new to me.
Yeah, well, and it is something to these fan projects based on this IP that is also very rare and very Valve.
Yes.
Like there are a couple of publishers that have embraced fan games.
Yeah.
Sega comes to mind.
Right. With Sonic Mania.
Exactly,
Yeah.
But most of the big ones, Nintendo in particular, are wildly litigious about that kind of thing because they're protecting their IP, whereas Valve has just sort of said, yeah, go ahead. And in some cases, they've then absorbed mod teams into their own staff to then not make any games.
No, but they will. It seems like they'll either hire them or publish the game, but they usually don't send in the lawyers like, you know, the Nintendos of the world do. So maybe that I'm sure it encourages these kind of projects, but it's also cool to, it feels like a tacit admission, okay, we're done with this, but if you guys want to go for it,
here's the torch.
Yep,
have a great time.
Yeah, have fun working for free for years.
But it can pay off.
Yeah.
Because, like you said, you mentioned Counter-Strike, you mentioned Gary's mod. Also, Stanley Parable was initially a mod and then became its own standalone and has gone on to be amazing. Then there's Black Mesa, which it's a third-party fan remake of the original Half-Life, and has actually been released onto Steam Early Access with Valve's blessing.
Right. I think there was GoldenEye Source a few years back. Actually, that's still getting updated, but to try to sort of bring GoldenEye, you know, keep updating that and make it look nice. It's definitely in keeping with Valve's, I don't know, that open source ethos. And they kind of said that recently with Steam when it comes to curating games. Remember, they were just like, we're going to let everything on.
Yeah.
You guys decide. We're not going to make a judgment call on this. And they seem to do that with everything.
Yeah, so there was, for a while, some sort of wavering as to what Valve's role in curation ought to be.
Right.
And it can be argued that there are a lot of asset flips, non-functional games. There's a lot of rubbish that ends up on Steam with developers just hoping that someone will buy it enough for them to turn a profit and then, like, that's all they care about.
Right.
But there's also been the discussion about content and whether Valve should curate based on what is objectionable. So things like the school shooting simulator, or Hatred was a big one, or all the sexy games.
Right.
And so Valve has finally decided, whatever, anything goes. We'll leave this up to the community to decide what should sink and what should swim. And they seem to be taking a similar hands-off approach to their own properties, which is crazy.
Yeah, like what if Project Borealis turns out to be good? You know what I mean? Like, what if they do it and they make sort of a good Half-Life 3? What will Valve do? You know, will Valve publish it? Will they wash their hands of it? It would just be interesting to see if they sort of end up doing what Valve couldn't or wouldn't do. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, and same with this Portal project. Portal initially came to be because they found this university. I think it might have even been a game jam project.
That's right.
And it looked very different at the time. It was almost medieval-y. And they took the tech, they brought the developers in, and then it made what became Portal. So if these fan project developers do well, maybe Valve will bring them in. But that also assumes that they have continued interest in having game developers on board and not just tech developers.
It's kind of smart, though, in a way, because it's a way for Valve also to kind of harness the creativity of the fans and the community. And a lot of the times there's always like a ton of like untapped talent looking to get involved in something like this. So it could be smart, just a way of like, if it sucks, like, okay, it sucks. They don't have anything to do. But if it's great, they're just, okay.
Right, just take the successes.
Yeah, I mean, Portal, wasn't it just part of the Orange Box to begin with? I mean, it was kind of like an afterthought game.
Yeah, well, it was released as part of Orange Box. It released standalone, downloadable.
Yeah, all right.
On Xbox Live Arcade and on Steam, and so it did come available separately, but then it was also part of Orange Box, and then Portal 2. They did add some things, like they added the streams.
Oh, that's right.
Of everything so there were some new mechanics in Portal 2. I feel like there's still so much more they can add if they were to do a Portal 3. I'm really curious to see what these fans for Destroyed Aperture are doing, like what they're planning, what their unique elements are going to be. Yeah,
it feels like a universe that is kind of fleshed out by the game, but that the fans have definitely taken on themselves to add more meat to. Like Overwatch, fans have definitely done that. Even like Star Wars back in the day, kind of in the late 80s, early 90s, when there weren't any new movies, but I think it was Lucasfilm or somebody kind of enlist novelists, and they started all those the Timothy Zahn novels and all that.
All the ones that they're now like, this is the legacy. No, legends.
Right, exactly. But it was a way for fans to kind of keep that torch going, like you said, and keep that flame alive of like a very cool IP. I mean, Portal, again, if this was any other developer, you would see like all this merch, all these games, and so I don't know. It's cool. I like when fans kind of take it on themselves and do like passion projects like this.
Yeah, so it is nice, especially in a case like Valve, where we may not get another official one.
Right.
But if fans keep doing these kind of projects, maybe we don't need them because we have it available elsewhere.
Well, and at least if Valve's saying, okay, we're not going to do it, but they're also not going to sue over it either. So that's
some comfort.
That's something.
Yeah. Whereas usually you say, don't tell anyone about your fan game until you've already put it out.
Right.
Because you will get a C&D and you will not be able to continue working on it.
And there are horror stories out there that people have alluded to of getting like, having, big judgments against them and having to sign, gag orders or NDAs. So it can get really messy. So yeah, props to Valve for at least allowing it.
All right, well, let us know if you think we even need games like Portal 3 if the fans are going to pick up the mantle where Valve doesn't. So let us know what you think about all of that, and if you're interested in Destroyed Aperture in the comments, to make sure you get all of the crazy news and discussion from every corner of the internet every weekday like this video. And if you're new here, subscribe to the network. I want us to get done because it's like they're like 2 minutes off of starting.
No, I think that,
And I was like, the second that music kicks on, we're done.
Yeah, I think we got all the